Hey everybody, I am back today with another Sketches by Sara sketch and layout for you. We are going to get messy today. I was in the mood to get messy. I wanted to kind of play with my supplies, so here we go. I'm starting with this stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and I'm gonna start. I just want half of it. You can see there I'm kind of showing you what part of it I think I'm going to use as the top of my sketch there. And I'm going to use some products. I went through my mixed media cart and I went looking for what do I have a lot of in my stash? What could I really make a dent in? Turns out I have an awful lot of embossing powder, like loads of it. So I decided that I would play with some embossing paste. Now, if you've never played with embossing paste before, it's pretty amazingly magical, and I love it. So a lot of scrapbookers use embossing paste the same way you would use texture paste, or the same way you would use maybe modeling paste, just as a white paste with no grit in it, which you totally can. But I really love what it does when you use it the way you're really kind of supposed to, I guess. I don't know. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my embossing paste. Now, my favorite embossing paste is from Altenew. I love how smooth and whipped and thin and fabulous it is to work with. I am taking a decent amount. You could use a thinner amount. You can use a thicker amount. I really like the end result of this when everything is where the dimension is there, where it's really dimensiony. Okay, that's not a word. But anyway, so I am putting a nice thick layer of this embossing paste down over my stencil. Once you have the embossing paste all the way through the stencil, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off my purple tape, pull the stencil off. Ta-da! Now, can you let this dry just like this? Absolutely. It's just smooth white paste. And you know what? We totally could have added some reinkers or something to it before we put it through the stencil, and that would have been fine too. But watch the magic that happens when you use it with embossing powder. So what I'm going to do is I have a piece of scratch white paper underneath. Nothing's going to happen to this paper, but it does need to be 12 by 12 because we have a 12 by 12 stencil. For embossing powder, I am using Distress Embossing Glaze in Kitsch Flamingo. You can use any embossing powder you like. In fact, I was reminded of how much I love this technique, and you're going to see it again next week with different embossing powders. It is so fun. Okay, so I did use the entire bottle, and then I dumped the leftover in. This, if you're going to do a 12 by 12 layout like I am, you're going to use a lot of embossing powder. So definitely be ready for that. And I know that embossing powder is not the cheapest thing on the market, but I have loads of it, loads and loads and loads of it. So I am all for using up a bunch. And you know what's really funny? I embossed that whole section, and I still have a ton. My container doesn't even look that empty. So you'll still have tons left over. Now, don't hit it with a heat tool yet. What you want to do is you want to set this aside and let it dry for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. Set it aside and forget about it. You want most of that paste to dry. You can leave it set aside longer if you want it to completely dry, but I didn't want it to completely dry. All right, so now, unfortunately, I lost a bit of video footage, which makes me super annoyed. You guys have no idea how annoyed I am right now. But basically, what I did was, after an hour and a half to 2 hours of letting this dry, I came back, I hit it with a heat tool. Because the embossing paste was about 80% dry, hitting it with this heat tool still made it kind of a bubble, which I love. I love the way it looks. You'll see it in the close-ups at the end of the video, like how it creates those little like bubble marks. But once I was done, so once I had hit it with my heat tool, dried all the embossing powder, all I did was a little bit of like watercolor, packaging technique, drip stuff, which is so easy to do. And I just used the Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide ink to do that. And then I just took a tissue or a paper towel or a little rag, and I just wiped over where I stenciled to take up any of the excess ink, which it did beautifully. But man, you guys, I could have kicked myself when I was putting this video together and editing and realized that somewhere along the way I had completely lost a whole section of footage. I wish I knew where it went. Anyway, I am going to be using my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit. I will leave a link to the walkthrough of this kit in the description box down below. If you have never heard of How to Kill a Kit with Style, it is my baby. It is a video series that I put together, wow, 3-4 years ago, and it is still going strong. So this is the first of 3. So if you watch the series regularly on my channel, you know that more often than not, I don't get to kill my kits every month. A lot of times I end up not being able to kill them just because of other responsibilities and other commitments. Well, this is the first of 3 videos in a row that I'm going to use my July Kill a Kit on. I sat down with this kit, I started creating, and you guys, I didn't stop. So right now that kit is almost completely killed. So there will be more videos coming. But I'm super proud of myself because I don't get this many layouts done generally with a How to Kill a Kit with Style, but it makes me super duper happy because I get to share them all with you, and there's loads of them. And I've already started working on my kit for August. Anyway, I'm going through my kit now, kind of deciding what bits and bobs and pieces I want to use from my kit. This is turning into a very chatty video. And I'm just going to go with it because it's been a while since I've put up a longer kind of chit-chatty video. I'm going to start by matting my photo with both of these pattern papers. I'm going to mat them wonky, so I am intentionally like getting my paper all lined up and then cocking it at a funny angle because I don't want the mats to be really straight. I want them to be a little bit wonky. And my reason for that is because the top of this page is very linear with that stenciling. And so I definitely want to kind of bring in a bit more of the kind of crooked, messy kind of feel. So I'm going to mat my photo, and then this layout is going to come together really quick. If you want a closer look at the sketch that I have used, it is free for you to head over to my blog. You can grab it, you can save it to a device, and go ahead and create with it yourself. You will also find on the blog today the sketch that I did from 2 weeks ago. I didn't get that blog post written. I just wasn't feeling real great that week. So I am doing a twofer this week. So I will have my blog link below. You can head over there. You can give it a follow. You can leave a comment and say hello and tell me that it was totally worth my time for me to blog, because I hate blogging. I really don't like it. It's just, I am using loads and loads of these Layered Life ephemera kits. These kits were such a good buy. Like, I cannot tell you how much. Looking back now at after having created a bunch of layouts using my H2KAKWS style, I really believe that the big reason why I was able to really use so much of this kit is the fact that I loved these ephemera packs, and being able to mix and match from my stash to match these ephemera packs and then playing with them, they were so good. I will go ahead and I will link Layered Life scrapbook kits up in the comments below. I am not affiliated with them in any way. I am just a customer, but honestly, I want to be a customer like forever. So please, please, please go check them out. You don't have to just subscribe. You can just buy a one run, like a kit, and that is kind of awesome because you can try one without having to subscribe. Now that I've decided where all of my bits and pieces are going to go, I can just go ahead and start adhering them down. I am using both my tape runner and some wet glue because of the mixed media on my background. So I know that my tape runner is not going to stick to the embossed surface. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of use the wet glue on that area. For a title, I am pairing this adorable Sweet Summer canvas flare from Scrap and Happy Studio with a black and white scripty word that was part of my kit. I am using a lot of Scrap and Happy Studio products on this layout. I love how the circular flare sets off the ephemera pieces and adds something different, so everything is not a straight edge. I am using both epoxy flare and canvas flare on this particular layout. So I have 2 canvas flares and then 3 of the epoxy flare, and I will link up Scrap and Happy Studio down below as well. I am on Jenny's design team, but she does an amazing job with these flares. I was a customer for years before I was a design team member, and I just love, love, love her products. They're fabulous. I'm getting this bottom layer up at the top good and adhered over the embossed area because you really do need that glue to kind of start to dry. Even using wet glue, it doesn't like to stick to the embossing area of my layout. So now I'm going to set down my picture. Can we talk about how amazing this looks? It has been so long since I've done this with the embossing paste and the embossing powder that I forgot like how much awesomeness it is and how fun it is to do. It's so neat and different and cool. And yeah, we're going to be doing this again fairly soon, like next week. Because I want to try it. I want to do it again with some more. I've tried it before, but I want to do it again because I forgot how much I love the look of it. So now that I have my photo down, I'm going to go ahead and kind of layer up those other pieces. Oh, as an aside, I will be 1000% sure not to lose or accidentally delete or whatever happened to the video footage. So you can see the magic that happens when you hit this with a heat tool. It's so cool. So this is just the gluing down portion of this particular video. I am using a bit of tear tape for the flares. It's a little bit stickier than my tape runner, and I wanted something pretty sticky to make sure that my flares were adhered down really, really well to the mixed media on this paper. So this is another photo from the Hawaiian luau. I have these photographs all organized into pages that I want to have just one photo on, pages that I want to have multiple photos on. So you're going to see these pictures come around again, I am sure. But for this week, I did the 3 photos that I wanted to have. I wanted them to have their own layouts, but then we have some more coming as well. And I also want to do at least one more page from this event using Tracy Reed's Sunkissed collection, so that the picture I did last week of just Fitz and I doesn't look out of place on my scrapbook, in my scrapbook section, the section that is this event. So just getting these last bits of flair. I did use my tape run on that one, mostly because I was putting it on the paper that was on my photo, and paper on paper, don't need to worry about it. Last little bits and pieces. I adore how this layout came out. I hope you will go ahead and grab this sketch and the sketch from 2 weeks ago over on my channel. And I'm just trimming off the edges and then using them again. So I took those 2 larger pieces from the top. I'm gonna go ahead and trim off the parts that are hanging, and then I'm gonna place them on the bottom of my layout. I like the way that kind of adds the repetition to the finished page. It's a little bit of repetition of the patterns, and then it also is going to give me a firm stopping point. This is where the layout ends, right? And there it is, all finished. I'm just gonna add those little bits at the bottom. Love how this turned out. It turned out so good. All 3 of the layouts that I created that you're gonna see in the next couple of days, I love them. They turned out so good. So I'm just doing the last little bits of to this bottom here, a fussy cut, because I wanted the ephemera piece that I used at the top is it has rounded edges and then a white border, and so I'm just trimming off the white border because I didn't really want the white border necessarily. I mean, nothing was wrong with it, but I just wanted that little bit of extra pop of color across the bottom. Just like that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you'll take a peek over at my blog. Look at the little bubbles in that embossing paste. It's so cool. And we're going to do this again next week, so don't worry. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you could give me a like or hit that subscribe button or leave a comment, I would greatly appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.